My name is Helen. I'm 49 years old, and I had never missed a flight in my life. Until that morning. I was already through security, seated near Gate 12, holding my coffee tight as my fingers trembled with nerves. It was my first solo trip in over 20 years. A spiritual retreat, something my therapist had practically begged me to do. I was finally doing something for me. Then I realized it. My wallet was missing. Not just the money, my ID, my credit cards, everything. I had left it on the kitchen counter. I stood up so fast I spilled hot coffee on my lap. "I'm sorry," I mumbled to the woman next to me, who looked more concerned about my panic than the mess. The airport felt like a maze. I raced back to the car, heart pounding, called a cab home, praying traffic wouldn't trap me. I didn't even stop to think until I opened the front door. Our bedroom door was slightly ajar. I heard laughter. A woman's laughter. Slowly, I stepped inside. There he was. Mark, my husband of 27 years, shirtless and not alone. He froze. She didn't. I don't even remember screaming. I just remember the way he looked at me, like I was the one intruding. All I said was, "You forgot to lock the door." Then I turned around, walked out, and sat on the front steps. My hands shook so badly I couldn't dial my sister's number. I had come back for my ID, but I had just lost everything else. I waited on the steps for 20 minutes, maybe more. The sun was rising now, casting long shadows across the neighborhood, the same neighbors I used to wave to. Now I hid my face from them. I couldn't let them see me like this. My sister Laura arrived still in her bathrobe and slippers. She didn't ask questions, just pulled me into the car. "Tell me when you're ready," she said, her voice low. I stared out the window, silent. Mark and I had built that house together, brick by brick. We raised 2 daughters in it, celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, even mourned my father's death in that living room. And now, it felt poisoned. At Laura's house, the guest room smelled like old lavender and warm blankets. Familiar. Safe. Later that evening, I finally spoke. "She was wearing my robe," I whispered. Laura didn't respond. Instead, she brought me tea and sat beside me like we were children again, hiding from thunderstorms. The next morning, Mark called. I didn't answer. Then he texted, "We need to talk, please." I deleted it, but then came another one. "There's something I need to explain. It's not what you think." Not what I think? I saw it with my own eyes. Laura sighed, watching me pace the room. "Helen, maybe he's panicking, afraid of losing everything." I nodded slowly. He should be. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to the bank. The joint account needed to be locked. Credit cards needed to be frozen. I didn't care about the house or the cars. But I wouldn't let him spend one more cent in my name, especially not with her. By the 3rd day, he showed up at Laura's. He stood outside the gate like a lost boy. I watched him from the kitchen window, arms crossed, heart pounding. Laura opened the door before I could stop her. "I just want to talk to my wife," he said. "She's not your wife today," Laura snapped, closing the door in his face. But part of me wanted to know why. Why now? Why her? Why? Like this. That night, I lay awake, remembering the dinners we used to have, the mortgage we struggled to pay, the loan we took to send our youngest to college, the emergency fund we both built with sacrifices, skipping vacations, second jobs. Was that what paid for the hotel where they met? The next morning, I called my daughter, Emily. She picked up on the first ring. "Mom, what's going on?" I wanted to be strong, but I broke. Your father. He's not the man I thought he was." There was silence, then a quiet, "Do you want me to come home?" "No, baby. Stay where you are. Just pray for me." I hung up and went for a walk, past the church, past the empty store I once dreamed of turning into a bakery. Life had other plans. Then I saw her. At the cafe, her. She was young, maybe 30, dressed in luxury, head to toe. Sunglasses that screamed money, and not the kind you earn cleaning houses like I used to. She was laughing. Again, this time into her phone. I walked right up to her. "Enjoy the gold while it lasts," I said. She looked at me, confused, then smiled. Smiled. "I'm not the first, am I?" I asked. She said nothing, and I walked away. But something in her silence told me more than words ever could. Coming back wasn't easy. The first time I stepped into my old house, it felt haunted, not by ghosts, by memories. I walked from room to room. The kitchen still smelled like cinnamon, the way I used to make French toast on Sundays. The bedroom, though, I couldn't even open that door yet. But I wasn't here to mourn. I was here to reclaim. I met with a lawyer the next day. We began the divorce process, and he helped me file charges for identity fraud. Mark tried to call. I didn't pick up. He even left a note taped to the garage. "Please don't destroy me. I'll lose everything." I read it once, then dropped it in the trash, because I had already lost everything too. But now, I was building again. I found a local women's support group. Every Thursday, we met in a tiny room at the back of the library. Most of the women were older than me. Many had stories far darker than mine. But we laughed, we cried, we healed together. I also started volunteering at the church kitchen again, serving food on Sundays. One morning, the pastor stopped me with a gentle smile. "You've been through the fire," he said. I nodded. He added, "But you came out not smelling like smoke. That's grace." His words stayed with me. At night, I lit a candle and began writing a journal. Not about the past, but about the dreams I still carried. A bakery, a simple life, a quiet joy. I no longer needed revenge. I didn't need luxury or titles. I just needed peace. And now, I could finally taste it. One afternoon, while walking past the town square, I noticed something, a "for lease" sign on a little corner shop, the same one I had passed for years, the one I used to imagine filled with the smell of fresh bread and laughter. My heart beat faster. I walked closer. The window was dusty, but I could still see the wooden shelves inside, old, worn, but full of possibility. That night, I couldn't sleep. I took out my notebook, the same one from the retreat, and sketched the layout of the shop from memory. Where the oven would go, the display counter, a small table in the back for women to sit and talk over coffee. The next morning, I called the number on the sign. The rent was high. Too high for me alone. But I had an idea. At the women's group, I shared my dream. To my surprise, two of the ladies, June and Teresa, asked to partner with me. "I can bake," June said, and Teresa used to manage inventory at the bank. We laughed like teenagers. By the end of the week, we were drafting a business plan. I used part of my savings. June offered to bring in old kitchen equipment she had stored in her garage. Teresa handled the licensing. We called it Second Rise. Not just a bakery, a symbol for starting over. Some people whispered about me, about Mark, about the scandal, but others came by just to smile, to say how brave I was. And I felt it too. Not because of revenge, but because I had turned the ashes into something sweet. The grand opening was set for next month, and this time, I wouldn't be walking alone. The day of the grand opening, the sky was gray. I stood in front of the bakery with June and Teresa, holding a pair of golden scissors and shaking like a leaf. A small crowd had gathered, friends, neighbors, even strangers. Then I saw him, Mark, standing at the edge of the crowd, holding a coffee, eyes sunken and tired. Our eyes met. For a moment, everything around me faded. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the nights I cried alone. I walked over to him. "You shouldn't be here," I said softly. He looked down, ashamed. "I just wanted to see you, doing what you always dreamed." I swallowed hard. "Are you trying to make peace?" "No," he replied. "I know I lost that chance. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, not to get something, just to say it." I studied his face. He looked smaller now, not in size, but in power. He wasn't the man who had destroyed me. He was just a man who couldn't face himself. I took a deep breath. "You don't owe me an apology, Mark. You owe it to God." He nodded slowly. As I turned to walk away, he called out, "Do you forgive me?" I stopped, then answered, without turning around, "I'm learning to." The crowd clapped as we cut the ribbon. The scent of cinnamon rolls drifted into the air. People poured in, smiling, hugging, buying. I looked around and saw my daughter Emily walk through the door, holding my grandson. "Grandma's bakery!" he shouted. I laughed through tears, not because everything was perfect, but because I had survived. No, risen. And in that moment, I finally knew this was my new beginning. I started receiving letters, not emails. Letters from Mark. The first one came on a Tuesday, slipped under Laura's front door. It wasn't long, just 5 sentences. "I messed up. I don't know why I did it. I was lonely, even with you. That's not an excuse. I still love you." I didn't reply. The second one came 2 days later. "I saw the bakery for sale again. Still think about how you dreamed of it. I was proud of you, you know, even when I didn't say it." I tore it in half and threw it away. But the third one, that one came with an envelope full of receipts, hotel stays, jewelry purchases, a credit card statement I hadn't seen before. It wasn't just her, it was them. More than one. Over years. The shock didn't hit all at once. It crept in slowly, like water under a door. "He's been using my name," I whispered to Laura. "For years. Loans, credit. Even the car isn't fully paid. He signed things behind my back." She closed her eyes. "I warned you once, remember? The year he got that luxury watch and said it was a gift from a client." I nodded, but the tears were already falling. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was ruined. Financially, legally, emotionally. And then it hit me. I might not even be able to go on that retreat. The one thing I was finally doing for me. Mark hadn't just betrayed my body or my heart. He had stolen my peace. I looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "God, if you see me, say something. Please." And I heard Laura's voice from behind me, soft but firm. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Psalm 34:18. I broke down, but this time, I didn't cry alone. 3 days later, I received a call from the bank. "Mrs. Taylor, we've reviewed the activity on your joint account. There are signs of forged signatures and unauthorized loans under your name. We'll need you to come in." I felt dizzy. "Wait, are you saying this could be fraud?" "Yes, ma'am. And if proven, it might not be your debt after all." My knees buckled, and I sat down right there on the floor. This wasn't just betrayal. It was criminal. That afternoon, I walked into the bank trembling. I signed affidavits, submitted proof of my whereabouts, showed messages, emails, everything. The manager, an older woman with gentle eyes, looked at me and said, "You're not the first wife this has happened to." Her words settled deep inside me. I wasn't alone. I wasn't crazy. I was starting to feel free. When I returned to Laura's house, Mark was there again. This time, waiting on the porch. "I heard you went to the bank," he said. I didn't answer. "You're going to ruin me, Helen." "I'm not ruining you, Mark. You did that yourself." He stepped closer, eyes desperate. "I made mistakes, but I never stopped loving you." "Don't say that," I snapped. "Don't you dare say that." His mouth trembled. I didn't know how to fix us. There was no us left to fix. He fell to his knees. Please don't let this be the end." For a moment, I froze. Then I leaned down, whispered in his ear, "It ended the moment you used my name to build your fantasy." I walked back inside, and this time, I didn't cry. I packed a small suitcase that night. The retreat still had one last spot open. It was time to leave the ashes behind and breathe again. The retreat center was nothing like I expected. No luxury, no Wi-Fi. Just wooden cabins, a chapel on a hill, and silence that pressed into every corner of your soul. At first, I hated it. I hated the stillness, the lack of distractions, the way every silence forced me to face the truth. But slowly, something shifted. On the second night, I met a woman named Miriam. She was older, maybe 60, gray curls, kind eyes. She listened without interrupting as I poured it all out. The lies, the debt, the years I ignored the signs. When I finished, she held my hand. "I stayed with a man like that for 40 years, she said. I looked up, surprised. "Do you regret it?" She smiled sadly. "I regret not loving myself enough to leave sooner." Those words pierced something inside me. That evening, during prayer, I stood alone in the chapel, candles flickering around me. I looked at the wooden cross and whispered, "I want to forgive him, but I don't know how." And I felt something, like warmth in my chest, not loud, not bright, just still. A peace I hadn't known in years. It didn't erase the pain, but it reminded me I was still here, still whole. When I returned to the cabin, there was an email waiting in the shared office computer. It was from Emily. "Mom, I'm proud of you. I talked to Dad. He's trying to get help, but he knows he lost you. I just want you to know we're with you, no matter what." I stared at the screen, my hands trembling again. But not from fear, from strength. I wrote back, "I'm coming home soon, not to what I left, but to what I'm becoming."